St. Andrews International School Bangkok is one of 73 schools in the Nord Anglia Education, or NAE, family. They offer a British education curriculum with an international perspective that begins in nursery and leads up to IGCSEs examinations in year 11 and culminates with the International Baccalaureate Diploma after completing year 13. They are an inclusive school that invites children from all backgrounds and abilities to participate in the educational offerings in their diverse campus. And I am so happy that we just got to find him here. Mr. Bartek. Shazam. There he is. Hello, Mr. Bartek.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you once again. I believe that this is this the fourth time that we've been together on this stage, or is it?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks again for organizing this. I think what a great opportunity, I think, for parents to, see such an amazing range of schools that we have on offer here in Bangkok, and maybe start to think about which choices would be best for them. So happy to talk today a little bit about what St. Andrews Bangkok.
Yeah, so let's start from the very top. One of the questions I really love asking each of our presenters is, what do you get excited about? As you're packing up your family in the morning, and then you're moving towards the school, and you're getting ready to join. Kind of slide into the campus there. What gets you most excited about the campus, or the curriculum, or the school in general?
Well, I think, I'm also a parent here, I think, as many of the other presenters might be. So, my focuses will always be kind of, with my kids and what the amazing opportunities that they have. We came from a much smaller school years ago. And, there was always some, I think as parents, we were a little bit nervous. Well, what are they going to find in a bigger school? Are they going to be able to find themselves and have the experience we would love for them to have, and definitely that's something that we have seen. We've seen our kids really blossom in the school. So my son is graduating this year, and my daughter is not too far behind. So got to see them experience all of those amazing things as younger students, and then now make their academic choices and as they're in the secondary campus. And so it's always very exciting for me to know how many different opportunities they have. Coming from a smaller school, there just weren't enough students there to yet have all of the choices that my kids had growing up in St. Andrews. And that's 25 different options every day after school. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, when we do get to IGCSEs and IB as well, I think, having them be able to choose the subjects that they are actually really passionate about, without having to be forced to make, to have to choose between one or the other because they happen to be in the same option block, or maybe some subjects not being offered if you only have a graduating class of 20 or 30 students. For us, our year groups in Key Stage 3 are 200 plus students. Mm-hmm. And so just having all of those opportunities for them to explore these different interests, make friends around common interests, which is a really, I think, effective way to build community, and hopefully have the students experiencing lots of happiness in the school. And so for us, that's always been the most exciting part. Hey, what's going on after school? What do you have going today? What do you have going on the weekends? And we've just been able to grow the school in such a way that it's not just for one particular profile, but it's for the student who's more sporty, the student who's very focused on their academics and wants to extend themselves further, for the student that is more art or creative art focused. Having those pathways for students, it's great. It's always so nice to see your own children thrive in that kind of environment.
I love it. Speaking of which, and then if we think about environments and greater connections, talk to me about what it means to be a part of the Nord Anglia community and what that provides for somebody who's going to St. Andrews.
Well, I would say there's a lot of benefits, and before we even get to the parents, just from the school side, I think it really helps us to find some amazing teachers. We have these collaborations with Juilliard, which many of you may know, for music, drama, and dance program. We have a collaboration with MIT that fuels the science and technology side. And so I'm sure you can imagine, if there's a job advert out there for a a dance teacher, a music teacher, or a technology teacher, and they see those names associated with our school, we're going to get lots of applications, which really allows us to find the teachers that fit our ethos and the teachers who are most excited about what they're doing. I do talk about this with parents all the time, which is that will have the biggest impact on the success of a school. It can be a very old school, it can be a very new school, it can have different curriculum available, but ultimately it will be the teachers who will have the greatest impact on the success of the school. And by success, I mean getting the kids excited about what they're learning. And by extension, if they're excited about what they're learning, if they're happy at school, they will do their best. And ultimately, that's where we want all of our kids. So and then I think through those collaborations, we do get visits from these institutions. They come and they look at our curriculum to see how we can continue to evolve. They run workshops for our teachers. They run workshops for our students, performances for our parent groups. And so I think we are able then to really grow these programs in a way that, ultimately teachers do come and go, and we have a average length of stay of 6 years for our teachers, which is quite significant.
Wow.
But eventually teachers do leave the school and they go on sometimes to another Nord Anglia school. And actually have to update the information that we provided for you. We actually have 88 schools now around the world.
Oh, geez.
So it's growing quite rapidly. But then it means that when we bring on the next teacher, and they don't start from scratch, they're not rebuilding a program. There really is. It goes from strength to strength because we have the support of these institutions. We also, I think, as the children get older as well, they start to recognize the world is much bigger than just their classroom, or their city, or our host country here in Thailand, and they will have some opportunities to collaborate with students who are in Southeast Asia, Middle East, Europe, UK, US, South America, through different programs where they are working online for a project and then meeting at a third location for a project that they may be working on over the summer or on one of the breaks. And so, having those opportunities available to them through something we call Global Campus, it just opens up, I think, their world a lot more. I think there's a greater sense of community because of that. Being able to host different competitions. Maybe recently we had a Nord Anglia film competition, so student films that they were able to contribute to this, and we had a student who really made it a very moving digital short, and she was a year 9 student, and it was just really great for that student and for the whole community to see just how amazing these students are, whether their joy is purely academics or in most cases in other areas as well. It's just nice to have those different pathways for them, and it's nice that Nord Anglia supports us in a lot of these ways.
Fantastic. A question from our community here. The question is talking about your learning support for special needs students. Could you talk to us just a little bit about that? And the question is actually, it seems to be that your learning support is always full. Are you going to be extending or growing your learning support opportunities or availability in the near future?
Yeah, so I think we're quite well known for being an inclusive school, and so what that means to those who might be unfamiliar is that of course we have some amazing support for children, everything from high needs, which we have a unit within our primary school we call STARS, and within our secondary campus we call Embracing Differences program. But then it allows us as well to help support students who are somewhere in between. Maybe they need some support in different areas, and it allows us to bring in lots of specialists and therapists within these learning areas and support areas. Our goal is always to be able to say yes to an entire family, regardless of whether the kids are have a profile of being very strong academic students, or whether they need a little bit of support, or whether they need lots of support. So that was always the vision of the school, even when we were a tiny school. And now we've grown to be, one of the most successful schools here in Thailand. It's always something we want to bring in additional support. We are quite full in these areas because I think people, a lot of families are quite excited by the offer of having their entire family at the school. I think with most schools, most international schools, their support will have to be a little bit limited, considering the amount of resources that is necessary to be able to help the children who join the school. We're always looking at ways that we can increase that provision, and so I would expect we'll always have, we'll always be building in those places, but it will always be full. Or at least let's say it will always be in high demand. So I always say to families, if you're interested, come talk to us. We'd love to meet you. If we have availability in a specific area of the school, we'd love to come and offer you a place. But if not today, then we would hope that we would be able then to offer a place within a term or the following year. But ultimately, we really love the opportunity to meet every family, especially with students who might have learning support issues. It's great to understand the scope of the support that they would need so that we can slot them in the event that we have a available place, because families will come and go into Thailand. And so it does free up spaces. And the more we know about a family, about the requirements for the student, the easier it would be then to find a place for that family.
Yeah, thank you. That's very much. Another question from our community here. It's about, essentially, if I'm an American parent and I'm considering different curriculums, one of them is, let's not use that. The question is using the word reluctant to have a kids in a British curriculum if their ultimate plans are to go to school or go to college in the US. And so talk to us about, maybe some of the advantages of the British curriculum, or, easing the transition into that, because maybe the school offers some other great aspects that this family is interested in. But maybe, the essence of the question is, why choose the British if you're going to shoot for the US as a college destination?
Sure. So, well, I guess I'm a good example. I did grow up in the U.S. and my kids also came from a U.S. Schooling background, and for me, I would say that there is, as a parent, it's quite nice to have a national curriculum, just to be able to help follow along. In the U.S., it doesn't quite always work that way. I think it depends. It goes state by state, sometimes county by county, in terms of the way that the science curriculum might be covered or history might be covered. So I would say that there's a little bit of a comfort just to having a national curriculum that I can look up and see, right, okay, my child is year 5, here's what they're going to be covering. I can kind of help them in a way and support them at home that will lead on to the next topic within the curriculum. So there is definitely something nice about that, especially if families are moving around the world. It's nice to have a national curriculum that they know if they go from year 4 in one country, then move to year 5 in another country, the content that will be covered will be maybe similar. Now, the quality of the school, I think, is we see the quality of the school when we see how they deliver that content. And so for us, we really focus on making sure the kids are incredibly engaged with what they're doing. They are they're learning around different, especially in the primary school, around different topics. These topics get them very excited about what they're doing. The classroom looks very different from when I was a kid. It's not just one teacher speaking at the children for the entire day. It looks very different than that. And it's where a teacher will introduce the lesson, but actually it's the students who are very, very involved throughout that lesson, working with each other, and the teacher and maybe the teaching assistants in the classroom will be there to support those kids. And I would say that approach has a lot of things in common with the top American curriculum schools, with the top pure IB schools. And so I would say there's probably more in line with how schools deliver the curriculum, whether it's an American curriculum school or whether it's a pure IB school. I would say we have more in common with a school like that than with a school that would have let's say, a more traditional approach of a teacher speaking at children for the entire day. We have the U.S. Population here is quite big. We have about 160 American students, quite a few from the embassy as well. So, and then a lot of our graduates end up going to the U.S. They do finish with an IB diploma. Most students, although there are a few other pathways as well, but most students will finish with the IBDP. And obviously with IBDP, that qualification can land a student in almost any place in the world. And I think, I get to go to these university fairs. We also host a lot of universities who come to visit us, and they are always quite happy to try to recruit students who have finished the IB. They feel that it's a great qualification. It prepares the students incredibly well for the independence that they'll need to be successful when they do get to uni. And so, ultimately, US, Canada, UK, Australia, those are some of our biggest destinations. But we had children accepted at, I think, over 50 different countries. So it's in the last year. So it means that I think with an American family that's interested in final destination of being in the US, I think they're going to find a big cohort of other families who have that same goal. And so we have 4 university counselors here that help this is what I've just gone through with my son, help children try to focus which schools, which countries that they're most interested in for after graduation, and of course helping with preparation for essays and also just trying to figure out kind of those top tier schools and maybe some of the schools which are not quite as strong. Just having a good approach to university admissions. I think we have a huge team here, and it's really helpful for those students, whether they're applying at US or any other country around the world.
Fantastic. Thanks. Appreciate that. Talk to me, sort of last question for you about community at St. Andrews, because you just mentioned, your graduates went to 50 different countries for, their destination for universities. Mm-hmm. You said you have 100, some odd families that are American, or 100 some odd students that are American, but you have a bigger campus. What are the opportunities for parents to be involved with, what's going on in campus at the same time, cross-campus activities or, competitions with other schools and those kinds of things? Like, talk to me about that, the milieu of sort of community opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for asking that, because I do get the sense that's definitely one of the strengths of the school. So the community, that was always one of the concerns as we grew from a smaller school to a bigger school. How do we keep that community? And I think a big part of it does go back to the inclusive nature of the school, meaning that all the families who are here have a very common vision of what a school should be providing to the community. And so there's a buy-in from the community. This is what we want from our school. And if it's not what they want, they're looking for something else, no problem. There are other schools that offer a different approach. But it means that everyone that's within the school, I think they feel quite strongly about supporting all the students that are in the school and how we are as a community. And this inclusive approach is not just to admissions. It's also to areas like sports. And so, yes, we've got amazing sport programs where, those top teams are, the best in Bangkok and in some cases the best in Southeast Asia in certain year groups. And that's for basketball and football and swimming, as well as many other sports. And we're very proud of them. But I would say I'm even prouder of the fact that when we do go to these competitions, we're not just bringing one team. We're bringing 2, 3, sometimes 3 teams in each level. So it's a sea of yellow shirts, at these events. And maybe some of these kids wouldn't have the opportunity to play otherwise. And that's, when I was growing up, that was always the case where, either you're good enough to be in the team or you have to watch your friend who is good enough. And so I love that we have a program that, hey, it's okay. Maybe you're new to tennis. Okay, well then you still can be part of the tennis program. You still get coaching from the same coaches those experienced kids would have, and you can still enjoy competition if that's something that is interesting to the student. So having those opportunities, I think that really, really helps to build a community. The other part that I hadn't spent much time thinking about until recently, which is our location. Those of you who live in central Bangkok, our location is quite centrally located. The secondary campus is next to the Ekamai BTS. The primary school is on Sukhumvit 71, about 6 minutes away. It makes a big difference because there are so many things happening in the school that we want parents to be a part of, and we want parents to come and see. Those are the great things that we missed out on during the COVID time, which is being able to come into school to see our kids in their element, proud of what they're doing, whether it's sport or whether it's an expo that they're presenting to the community, or a dance program, whatever it is. And being in the middle of the city means that maybe you can duck out, take a longer lunch if you're working in the city, and it's not too difficult to go there and to see your kids taking part in these events. It also means after school, you're going to see, especially at the primary school, lots of parents in the school, even watching their kids do their ECAs, or even just playing in the playgrounds and enjoying their time at the school. I think that the location, it definitely feels like a home. Everyone here knows the leadership team quite well, because everyone's been in the school for at least 10 to 15 years. And so there is this sense of community because I think we know one another, we trust one another, and we have lots of opportunities for parents to come and get involved and enjoy all the benefits of having their kids at St. Andrews.
Fantastic. Mr. Bartek, thanks so much for joining us again this year. Really appreciate it for talking to us about St. Andrews. But now it is time to move on and show your video in your campus walkthrough.
Thanks very much.
Let's make sure we take down that overlay first.